Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by FCF Heavyweight Champion Gary Frazier. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm blessed, man. Blessed.
Gary, the name of the game is really random. That's where I ask you a random question and you give me the real answer. Some of these questions are custom made just for you, and some of these questions are generic ones that I ask all the people I interview. So, here's the first question. Superpower you'd love to have?
I'd like to be able to fly.
Favorite movie?
Goonies.
Movie you've seen the most times?
Goonies.
Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite guilty pleasure?
Eating snacks at night when I'm on a diet.
Gary, on June 11th, you're going to be fighting at FCF 52. You're going to be defending your FCF heavyweight belt for the very first time. How's training been going for the fight?
You know, everything's good. I'm looking forward to it. I've had some good opportunities, some good training partners. I'm staying pretty healthy, as healthy as I can be. I had an opportunity to go out to Vegas and train with Big Country, Roy Nelson, and Tim Johnson, some UFC fighters, and had access to a lot of very well-talented people out there, so as well as what I have here at home. So, everything's good. I'm looking forward to the opportunity, again, to defend the title.
You mentioned you were doing some training with UFC heavyweights Roy Nelson and Timothy Johnson. How did things go? What was it like training with those guys?
It came together well. It really opened my eyes up to my abilities and how close I am to being to that, getting to that level, and the steps I need to take to get there. And just was able to pick some people's brains and just see what they're doing to stay at that level, and what kind of training I need to be doing to get there. So it was a great opportunity. Got some really good work in. Very talented people, so I was happy with it.
How much cross-training have you done over the course of your career? Is this the first time that you ventured out to a different gym and got some different looks and worked with some different coaches, or have you done stuff like this in the past, and are you one of those guys who likes to bounce around from gym to gym to gym? Is this the first time you've done this kind of cross-training?
We try to stay pretty tight-knit. Oklahoma's, we're kind of scarce when it comes to heavyweight, so we try to stay pretty tight-knit with who we work with, and as far as showing off our skills and stuff, is a lot of talent that we fight around here are local guys that you go train with a bunch of heavyweights in Oklahoma City, you have the potential to be fighting that guy within a couple months. So we try to stay pretty tight-knit. I venture over to Matt Grice's gym at R1 when I can get an opportunity. I have some really good trainers over there and really good people to work out with. So other than that, we keep it pretty tight-knit, staying right here in Shawnee, and have some guys travel in to work with us. So all good opportunity.
How did the opportunity to go to Las Vegas and train with Roy Nelson, how did that all come about? Well,
Dorothy Foss is the one who does the FCF, and great lady. Misha Tate came up through FCF.
Right.
I don't know. She is actually still a champ of FCF. So Dorothy was able to have her come back out, and one of her trainers came down with her. His name is Dennis, and we exchanged information while he was here. And one thing led to another, and we reached out to him, and they invited us up. So we just took a trip out there, and Roy's getting ready to fight a well-talented guy named Derek Lewis in the UFC, and they say we look like each other and fight similar too, as far as our power and the strength. So it was a good opportunity for him to get a similar fighter out there, and a good opportunity for me to get some work in too. So it all worked out.
You're from Shawnee, Oklahoma, and you're always repping Shawnee, and you're very proud to be from there. But as your career progresses, and as you get opportunities to continue to work with guys like Roy Nelson, and you get the opportunity to work with some of the best coaches in the game, would you consider leaving Shawnee, even though you love living there? Have you ever thought about a permanent move to one of these gyms and leaving Shawnee? Is that something that you've considered?
Well, Shawnee's my home, and like you said, I'm very proud of being from here. A lot of people tie Shawnee to a bunch of just craziness, but it's really not. If that's what you're into, then that's what you're into. Fortunately, that's never really a road I've gone down. So I've had people that have supported me. My city has my back. I say that all the time. One thing I realize, if I want to take my game to the next level, I got to surround myself with those type of people. So if I have an opportunity to be somewhere where guys are training full time, and like the situation with Roy Nelson in Vegas, I would like to have a home in Shawnee, yes. But if I have an opportunity to go out to Vegas for a few weeks at a time and get some training in, I think it'll turn into a situation like that. I haven't even began to think of an opportunity like training with the team full time. When you do get a UFC contract, you have teams that reach out to you and want you to come train at their gym full time, and that will require you to move out there. The AKAs, the alpha males, the extreme coutures. So, but I don't think that's where I'm headed. I would like to stay here in Shawnee, or at least around this area. I have too many opportunities to help the city, help the town, and give back. So I'm looking forward to that.
You're fighting Demario Dennis. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent? Demario, I don't know how you say it. He's a well-talented guy. Kickboxing first, I believe. I'm one that doesn't watch a whole lot of films. I go in, I try to impose my will on my opponent. But I've watched some film on him. I had the opportunity to fight his brother, Myron Dennis, I think in 2010, and I dislocated my shoulder in about 40 seconds into the fight. And that was something that I was having some problems with leading up to the fight. But as far as Demario, it's a good opportunity for him, and I believe it's a good opportunity for me. And both of us just going to put our best foot forward and see what happens. I find this fight to be a very interesting fight because of where you guys are at in your respective careers. On one side of the coin, there's you, and you're on a 2-fight win streak. You're the FCF Heavyweight champion. You're looking better than ever. You took 5 years off from the sport. You've come back, and you're doing very well now. Those 2 wins that you've had, both have been first-round stoppages, so you're doing great right now in your career. On the other side of the coin, there's Demario Dennis, and in his last fight, he was brutally knocked out, and he hasn't fought in mixed martial arts for about 2 years. So he's trying to regain some momentum that I think he lost with suffering some of these losses that he had in kickboxing. He's trying to come back to MMA to regain some momentum. So there's a lot at stake for both of you guys, but I'm interested in knowing what your thoughts are. Who do you think has more at stake for them in this fight, you or him?
I haven't really paid attention to what he's been able to do lately. But, I really just focus on what I have going on with me. So it would be in my best interest to go in the cage next Saturday and get a win. So I don't know what he has going on. I think it'd be a good opportunity to him. Originally, he wasn't my original opponent. But those guys are working hard in the city. I know who some of his training partners are, and I have no doubt in my mind that they're preparing the way they're supposed to. And he's going to be ready. So I'm not taking him lightly. I don't know what version of him is going to be there because you don't know what kind of health issues these guys are having. But I imagine that he's hungry. Any time that most people that suffer losses like he did from the Glory fight, where he was, like you said, brutally knocked out, they kind of question themselves, do I want to do this or not? I have no doubt in my mind that Demario is a competitor, a warrior, because he jumped right back in there. Right after his suspension was up, he's ready to go again. So he's a warrior. I'm a warrior. It's 2 guys showcasing their art form, and we're gonna hook it up and see what happens. Because I'm only going to continue, as long as I have the people supporting me that I have, I'm only going to continue to try and rise. So it would be in his best interest to try to get a win. So I think it's a good opportunity for both of us. I really don't know who has the better advantage of losing or winning.
Because you've fought against his brother, Myron Dennis, in the past, what do you think his camp is telling him to do against you in this fight?
You know, they believe I'm a wrestler first, so I imagine they tell him avoid the takedowns, keep your space, open up with your strikes. He's light, he's long, he's got some powerful strikes. You know, he's a kickboxer, well-talented guy. He's fought in Glory, has some impressive wins, and I mean, he's got some talent. So I think they're going to tell him to stay away from me and mix it up, keep hands in my face, and try to make me uncomfortable. I mean, that's what I would do.
Now, without giving away your game plan or anything like that, some people would say, when they look at this matchup, that it would be wise for you to get the fight to the ground because Demario Dennis is a very good kickboxer. He's got really good stand-up. He's fought in Glory. He's fought for Legacy Kickboxing. He's fought against some very tough competition in kickboxing, guys like Pat Barry. So some people would say that the way for you to win this fight is to get the fight to the ground, beat him up on the ground, drag him into deep water, and then when you get him into deep water, drown him. Some people would say that that's the key for you to win this fight, is getting the fight to the ground. Is that good advice? Do you agree with that, or do you have a different take?
You know, the good thing about training with the guys that I train with, you know, Jason Merrill being one of the best trainers in Oklahoma, I believe, I'm ready to go wherever the fight goes. I'll stand and trade. My last few fights, I haven't had to stand and trade, and I've been able to take it wherever I want to take it to. So, and I really haven't had an opportunity to showcase what kind of talent I have on my feet. I'm not an idiot, though. If somebody's getting the best of me in a situation, I'll take it elsewhere. So that's the best thing about being well-rounded and preparing yourself the way we do. So I'm not necessarily going to tell you my game plan.
Sure.
But you know, I'm ready to go wherever the fight goes.
You were away from the sport for 5 years. During that time, why weren't you fighting? Where did you go? What did you do? Why did you step away from fighting?
Well, you know, I really just focused on my family life, and I really sustained a lot of injuries during that time that was keeping me away from the sport. You know, I've broken bones. I dislocated after that fight. I didn't have surgery immediately. I dislocated my shoulder again, both shoulders about 4 or 5 times a piece after that, and then I went on to have surgery, I think in 2012. I played a little football at Oklahoma Baptist University. I became a personal trainer. I'm a father of 3, so I've been very busy, still just focusing on other ventures, and then we had this opportunity to start getting ready. FCF said they're coming back to town in September. They let us know about 5-6 months in advance. We started preparing, and now everything's been on the up and up. So as long as we can continue to rise, everything's going the way we want it to go so far.
How would you describe this 5-year absence you had from the sport? Because if it's just a break, then that means you were planning on returning at a later date. But if it's a retirement, then you had no intention of returning. So how would you describe this 5 years off? Was it a break, or were you retired?
I wouldn't say, I guess you can call it a break. I would definitely say I'm not retired. You know, I was still very competitive. Whether it be wrestling, I was able to coach wrestling, so I was helping other people prepare. But like I said, I had health issues. I know there was one year I was working out. I dropped 315 pounds on my chest, cracked my sternum. I've had neck issues. I've had tore my bicep. I had several things that were going on that was keeping me away from the sport. And then once I made up my mind to get back in, it's like you're always going to have an issue. As an MMA fighter, as a professional athlete, you're always going to have some kind of issue. And that's all I made up my mind is like, you're ready when you're ready. So get in there, prepare. And you're never going to be 100. If you're not preparing the way you're supposed to prepare, if you step into a cage and you're 100% healthy, and that's fact. Look at all the guys that fight in the UFC. Somebody has some kind of issue going on when they get in there. So that's the way I approach it. So you just got to get in there and go.
Besides being healthy, was there anything else that brought you back to the sport? Was it something where you were getting encouragement from friends, family, fans, training partners, coaches, local promoters, people like that? Were you getting people saying to you, hey, I think you should come back, I think you have more left in you, I want to see you fight again? Were you getting encouraging words like that from people that you knew? Or was it something where you just came back because you love the sport? Or is it something where you just came back because you were inspired by seeing other guys succeed and you looked at those guys and were like, you know what, if they can do it, I can do it? Or if this guy's having success, then there's no reason why I can't be doing what he's doing. Or I see what that guy has and I want that too. I'd like to be doing what he's doing. What exactly pushed you back into fighting besides just being healthy, if there was anything else? What got you back into MMA?
Well, I mean, it was a series of events, honestly. The fan love, the people that, when I tell you I have the biggest supporters, I really believe I do. Shawnee supports me to no end. And it's a constant, the people staying in my ear, hey, man, we can't wait till you get back in the cage. I know you're going to come back, and we're looking forward to you doing big things. Just staying in my ear. Throughout that whole 5-year hiatus, those people were staying in my ear, staying on me like, man, you got an opportunity to do something big with this sport. We want to see you get back in there. And then that was motivation in itself. And then I have a guy that I work with here on the promotional side of things. His name is Mark Combs, and he said, look, Dorothy Foss she's wanting to bring FCF back, and I think if we do a show here in Shawnee, we can get with the guys over at R1 and some other local talent. We can put on some of the biggest shows in the state. I said, all right, man. I'll start preparing. I'll put a camp together. I'll get my weight under control. That was an issue too. And we'll see what happens. So leading up to the fight, everything went well, and we had that fight coming back in September, and it was outstanding, very humbling to see the support that I had. And just the people letting me know that they got my back, especially in this city, and I love it. My family, everything coming together exactly the way we wanted it to. So, yeah, it was a series of conversations, a series of events that brought me back to the cage. I'm here now. I'm here to stay.
When you fought against Miles Martin at FCF 50 after 5 years away from the sport, what was it like getting back into the cage and fighting?
You definitely have goosebumps. I've never been shy to compete, but, I get nervous for health reasons, because it seems like every time I get in the cage or go to perform, something happens. So I was a little nervous as to what was going to happen with my body, how I was going to feel afterwards. But I don't know if you've been to one of these events here in Shawnee. If you haven't, you should definitely come out next weekend. The energy that the people feed me is something else. So I was right when I stepped in the cage, I felt like this is where I'm supposed to be. And every time I do, I feel at home now.
After that fight, you fought against Frederick Gunner at FCF 51, and that's where you claimed the FCF Heavyweight belt. What was that like? Because one fight before that, you weren't even in fighting. You'd been away for 5 years. So what was it like coming back and winning a title?
I credit majority of that to the guys who helped me prepare. Jason Merrill, he makes sure that I'm ready to go. And if he feels like I'm not ready, he'll tell me. He's like, dude, you got to take it up. You got to take everything up a level and make sure you're ready to go. Have no doubts in your mind. He puts me in some pretty tough situations. back in and winning the title, a lot of the credit it goes to him for making sure I'm ready. And so the other guys I surround myself with, I have family members. My cousin, Tank Adams, he's actually fighting on this card. He makes sure I'm ready, staying mentally tough. So it was humbling because the things I've been able to do in the community, and a lot of the people that are paying attention to my every move, are people that I've been wanting to pay attention to what I say and what I do for a long time, and now I'm using this mixed martial arts as an avenue to get to where I really want to be, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Do the things I really want to do.
What do you think a win over Demario Dennis on June 11th does for your career? Because right now, you're on a 2-fight win streak, and Demario Dennis, he's a Glory veteran, he's a very good fighter. What do you think that does for your career going forward? Do you think it's enough that a win over Dennis gets you a call into a big show?
You know, that's up to them. And the guys I stay in contact with, like, once again, Jason Merrill, we're trying to do it correctly this time. Last time I took a fight, the first time I took a professional fight on TV, it was a little early. It was a great opportunity for me had I won. And had I lost, it wasn't too bad of an opportunity. Had I lost, it was like you're fighting a 2-time Olympic wrestler. But now, as I'm getting older in age, we want to do things correctly. So if we get a call, we'll definitely consider it. We want to make sure we take those fights at the right time, make sure we're well prepared and ready to go. So who knows what's going to happen? That's really up to those guys. And me and Demario got to put on a show first. I would love the opportunity. Don't get me wrong. I'd love the opportunity to get that. I wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't trying to get to that level. We just want to do it in the right time. You know, I don't plan on just getting to that level and then say, hey, I was a UFC fighter. I want to make a run to the top 10 in the world, get a title shot eventually. I want this thing to build. I've seen other guys do it, and I've had an opportunity to fight, and I want to do it the same way. People have paved out a road for us fighters that are coming up. Do it like this, and you will be successful. Make sure you're well prepared, and you'll be successful. So as long as you can stay along those lines, everything will be good. So that's what we're trying to do.
Is it UFC or bust for you? Because obviously, every fighter who gets into mixed martial arts, they want to be fighting in the UFC. That's everyone who's ever stepped into a cage. That's all they dream about. They dream about being a UFC fighter. So are you open to possibly going to other organizations? Because right now, Bellator, they're a good spot. They know how to get in contact with you. The guys who are running Bellator are also the same guys who are running Strikeforce, an organization that you fought for in the past. I'm sure Scott Coker and Rich Chow know how to get in contact with you. So there's Bellator, and then there's World Series of Fighting. And World Series of Fighting, they're very shallow. Their talent pool at heavyweight is not very deep. So potentially, if you go to World Series of Fighting and you fight there once and you win that fight, you could potentially be looking at fighting for a title for World Series of Fighting because they don't have the depth at heavyweight. So there's a lot of options for you right now. Is it UFC or bust for you, or are you open to other organizations?
I definitely won't say UFC or bust. And that's the great thing about this sport, is that there are these organizations who are at the top that aren't, people consider the UFC to be the NFL of mixed martial arts, and that's great. But there are at the end of the day, it's about me generating some revenue to change people's lives within my circle, and my family being the first. So if World Series of Fighting or Bellator comes and they throw a decent contract at me and say, hey, this is the amount of money that we're throwing our heavyweights right now, it's going to be hard for me to turn that down, because the whole reason why we do it, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to stay in this sport, and the whole reason why we do it is try to make some money and make a name for ourselves and get something going for our family. Would be a little more financial stability.
Hobbies outside of fighting?
I'm into weightlifting. I love spending time with my kids. I'm actually working some things out right now where I'll be able to do the fighting full time, hopefully, and be able to spend a lot more time with them. I've laid off on a lot of the other athletics that I choose to do, just because I tend to get hurt a lot as far as the flag footballs and going and pick up basketballs and that type of stuff. But I would say my kids are coming of age where they're playing athletics now, so that's one of the hobbies I love to do, is going and watching them compete.
What other job do you work?
I work for a company called Performance Course, and we're personal trainers for high school and junior high athletes, and we do off-site training where we go into schools and we train groups of athletes. Sometimes the numbers can reach up to 120 athletes at a time, and there'll be several personal trainers in one setting going around motivating these kids to be better, not just for football, for any sport that your school offers. We do general athletic training, so it's a business that's growing here in Oklahoma, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Favorite food?
I like Italian food, pizza being the first.
Least favorite food?
Oh man, I hate avocados. It's one of the most rich in nutrients food sources that we have available to us, but I hate avocados. I have to force myself to eat them.
Favorite restaurant?
Zio's in Oklahoma City, Bricktown.
Favorite TV show, and it can be a show currently on the air or a show no longer on the air, just overall favorite TV show?
I would have to say I grew up watching Family Matters.
Got any cheese?
Yeah, I need cheese. Doesn't mean it's on the fifth floor.
Did I do that? Great show. I was watching a rerun the other night, so it's funny that you brought that up. Good show. Favorite band and or solo artist? And or solo artist, favorite band. I can go with solo artists. I have several bands that I like, but my favorite solo artist is Otis Redding. I love the old school. Nowadays, the bands aren't what they used to be. My dad kept us on a lot of old school music when we were growing up. I come from a household of music. My mom, my brothers, my sisters, my aunts, everybody, it seems like everybody in my family has the talent of singing. So I definitely, the diversity in music is amazing. So, but my favorite artist of all time is Otis Redding. Do you have any pre-fight rituals or superstitions? I gotta have my alone time. I'm a wrestler. I'm a wrestler first, and you can win a lot of these competitions just from your mentality and how you prepare leading up to the fight or leading up to the match. And not only am I a wrestler, I'm a wrestler from Shawnee, Oklahoma, and we know how to get things done. So I was prepared. When it comes to getting yourself mentally prepared and pre-match or pre-fight rituals, the Jeff Chandlers, the Larry James, the Jason Merrills, those guys really helped me with that. I know how to prepare for a fight mentally, and I try to relax as much as I can and not try to get too warmed up until it's time to go. I break a few sweats. The doors open up at 8, or the doors open up at 7. The fight start at 8 for this, so I probably won't go on. I'm the main event on a card that has 12 or 13 fights. I probably won't go on until 10:30, 11 o'clock. So, right when we get there, we break a sweat and then relax. Get our hands tight. We break another sweat and start preparing ourselves mentally. But for me, it starts about 2 or 3 days before, getting everything in check, making sure you've dotted all your I's and crossed your T's. So, definitely ready. Do you have any post-fight rituals? I like these fights are pretty much a social event afterwards. And it's one thing for everybody to come out and see a great fight, but the Grand takes care of us. They allow us to do an after party there. Last time we had, I think, 350, 360 people in one room, and it was all good vibes. Everybody had a great time, so I look forward to that afterwards, just going and meeting and seeing people that I haven't seen in a long time. People come from a long ways away sometimes just to watch a fight. My fight this last time lasted for a little over a minute. So
I don't want that to be the only thing they come to see. So post-fight ritual, we go and have a good time. And the Grand is the Grand Casino is the one who hosts that for us.
How many kids do you have, and what are their names and what are their ages?
I have 3 beautiful children. My oldest is 7. Her name is Abriana. My second is 5 years old. It's a boy. His name is Dion. And my youngest is 3. Her name is Gabrielle.
Celebrity people say you look like?
James Harden, hands down. In the fight world, it's Kimbo Slice, but in the general public here in Oklahoma is James Harden from the Beard, obviously.
Go-to song when you're singing in the shower?
Lately, I have been listening to a little Chris Stapleton or a little Brett Eldridge. So any of their songs, a little country. I sing some R&B. My kids like One Direction. We sing One Direction together, all kind of stuff. It just depends on what kind of mood I am, really.
Favorite social media platform?
Facebook has really that's my best following right now, and I have some real immediate relationships on there. So that's my best platform right now. Hopefully we can get some stuff generated through Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, but right now Facebook is my best platform.
Website you visit most often?
Oh, it seems like I'm always Googling. I'm a shoe guy. I love shoes. So in my spare time, I'm always looking to see what Jordan's been released or what new Nike's coming out or something. I look at cars. I'm a car guy in my spare time. I tend to lean towards the thing I like. So I'm a car guy. I'm always Googling Lamborghinis and little weird stuff like that.
Piece of technology you can't live without?
Definitely my phone. Definitely my phone. I say if I don't have my phone on me, I feel bare-skinned.
If you could trade places with anyone in the world for a week, who would you trade places with and why?
Anyone for a week. It's not something I really asked myself, but I would like to trade places with somebody like John Jones or Daniel Cormier to see what life is like at the top, because that's what I'm trying to get to.
If you could stay one age forever, how old would you stay and why?
I feel like I hit my athletic prime. I could have been in my athletic prime and my most youthful age around 24, 25. I wasn't making the best decisions at that time, but I like where I'm at right now. I'd say 27, 28 years old. A lot of things have been happening for me because, and not to sound cocky, but, you're only going to get it done if you choose to get it done and you make it happen. So once I made up my mind to get out there and start making things happen and surround myself with those type of people, that's exactly what's been going on. So the age of 28, the age of 27 has been great for me. So I'd probably say this age right here.
What motivates you in life and in fighting?
My family. My family. Seeing some of the things that my mother goes through on a daily basis or has gone through that she doesn't have to. So that's definitely motivation. My kids, I want to get them the best life possible. And those pictures of Lamborghinis that I Google.
I've heard you have a few nicknames. What are your nicknames?
My fight name, they call me the Black Hulk. Around the Shawnee, some people call me G Frazier. The people that know me from football is just Frazier. I think once we start establishing a name for ourselves on a bigger circuit, people will know who Black Hulk is.
How many tattoos do you have, and what are the meanings behind these tattoos?
I have a few. I think I have like 6. I got my kid's name, all 3 of my kids' name across my chest. Like I told you, I'm a shoe head. I guess you could say a shoe fetish. I don't know. And I love the brand Supra, and me and a close cousin of mine. His name is Kadeem. We both got the same tattoo. I have mine on my ribs. It's just a crown. My mom loves elephants. I have an elephant tattoo on my back. I'm a New York Yankees fan. I have a Yankees tattoo on my tricep. And on the inside of my bicep, I have one of my closest friends that passed away, my dog, Mr. Biggs. So some people look at that tattoo and are like, this dude is cocky or overconfident. He calls himself Mr. Biggs. Is actually my dog's name.
Some people are afraid of spiders. Some people are afraid of heights. Some people are afraid of the dark. What are you afraid of?
Quick story. The other day, I'm brushing my teeth. I look up. There's a spider crawling down my hat. His legs touched my eyeball.
Oh, God.
And I punched myself in the nose. So I didn't realize I was that afraid of spiders. But apparently I'm afraid of spiders. That's not my biggest fear, though. My biggest fear is lightning. I cannot be outside. I can't even have the windows open when it is lightning outside. I just feel like that would be one of the worst ways to go down if you got struck by lightning.
If you could go on a $1 million shopping spree at any store, what store would you go on that $1 million shopping spree at?
Ooh, $1 million. It would definitely have to be something that offers more than one thing. But seeing how I like clothing and shoes, man, that's a tough one. $1 million in one. I don't know if I could spend $1 million in one store. I'm just because Walmart has everything. I'm gonna say Walmart.
What's the best thing that ever happened to you?
Becoming a father. It made me slow down a little bit and start looking at more in my recent years what it's all about. And that to me, that's one of the best opportunities you can have in life is parenting a child. So that's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. It opened my eyes up to what life is really about.
What's the worst thing that ever happened to you?
Ooh. There's been, not to go into real grave detail, but there's been some, I'm going through some real things as a family. And there's been some family issues that we've had happen that we just shouldn't have had happen. And it would definitely have to be one of those. So, like I said, those are the things that keep me motivated on a daily basis. And although they're not on the forefront of my mind, I'll never forget them. And they keep me going. I never want that to happen to my kids or to my family again. So if we can squeeze everything we can out of this mixed martial arts thing, that's what we're going to do.
Person you look up to the most?
I pay a lot of attention to what my mother tells me. She's had nothing but work ethic, the hardest work ethic, for as long as I know her. And I don't remember her not working hard for us. So as far as me working on a daily basis and the effort that I put out, I believe that was instilled. She instilled that in me. I get that from her, where that comes from. So I look up to her for that.
Time period you'd like to go back and visit, and why?
It seems like a lot of the things that I like are from the 80s. So, I was born in 88, and coming up, I was coming up through the 90s, but it seems like the Purple Rain, the Goonies, the original Ninja Turtles, just all that type of stuff is from I would like to go visit maybe 1985, up a little bit, see what's going on around then. What's
your pet peeve?
People that are just trying to get over on somebody instead of just doing things the right way. So that's a real pet peeve of mine. When everything's on the up and up and everybody's all good vibes, because I don't understand why people just can't do things the right way. Like, just don't. There's no reason for you to just try to take advantage of someone. So that's a real pet peeve of mine. When somebody, you can clearly tell that somebody's trying to take advantage of someone.
Let's say you found a magic lamp, and you rubbed that magic lamp, and a genie appeared, and the genie said he was going to grant you 3 wishes. What would those 3 wishes be?
I would love, eternal health, to not be injured ever. I'm always injured. So, to not be injured ever, just healthy all the time. Financial stability to no end, no worries in the world. I know that shouldn't be one of the things that you ask for, but things cost. And if we had endless amounts of money, we can make some things happen. And what's the most general answer that they all say, like Miss America? Mm-hmm. Secure world hunger. That'd be my third one.
What do you worry about? What's something that keeps you up at night?
Yeah, this parenting thing could be pretty stressful at times. You know, I got a 7-year-old. I feel like she's 15 sometimes. She's so smart, and I just want to make sure that we're putting her in the best position to be successful. So I never want to feel like I held her back in any situation. So that's something that I think about quite often, is are we making sure she has everything she needs to be the best that she can be, really. All my kids.
Best advice you ever given through life, and best advice you ever given through fighting, and who gave it to you?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's my mother. I take that with me everywhere I go. That's my favorite Bible verse, and that's hers as well. And it really has given me strength. I think about that when I start worrying about things that don't matter, worrying about things in the physical form that I know I can get over. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So that's the best advice I've ever been given. What's
your hidden talent?
I wouldn't say singing that is my hidden talent, because I do it all the time. Man, I'm a pretty outgoing guy. If I'm good at something, you're probably going to know about it. I don't really know.
Number one thing on your bucket list?
I want to do more traveling. I had the opportunity to go to Vegas. I thought that was amazing, and that kind of opened my eyes up. I got to get out and see more. Shawnee is a great city, but I got to get out. I want to take my family on trips. So I would say that's the number one thing, is just take my family on some trips and let them see that there are more things that life has to offer.
If you could change one thing about the world, what would you change and why?
We tend to be a people of greed lately, and it seems like that's what everything is designed, for you to get the most you can out of it. And I know I said that earlier about mixed martial arts, but that's what it is. Everything costs. We don't do things on a barter system anymore. We don't just do things for each other because we have the means to. It's like if money's not involved, then we ain't doing it. So that's what I would. If I could change anything, I would probably the barter system. I would like to see that incorporated a lot more than what it is.
Last question, Gary. Let's say you were on death row and about to be executed. What would your last meal be? And I need an entree, a dessert, and a beverage. What would your last meal be?
My last meal. That's a crazy question, because I've never imagined myself on death row. But
whoever does.
Yeah, I got you. I would want it to be something that would jog my memory about the things that I love, honestly. So it would probably be, my kids love chicken nuggets. My mom makes this awesome Mexican casserole. And my girlfriend, Alicia, she loves Mexican food. So it would probably be something of that nature. Now, that's not necessarily my three favorites, but it would jog my memory at the time to get me thinking about things that matter. That's a real answer.
Gary, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, to my fans, and you guys, and I get a little choked up talking about it because it's so amazing. You guys make it worth it, really. If you have the opportunity to listen to this interview, you guys make everything that's been going on worth it, and I appreciate you guys. My sponsors, I have some of the greatest local businesses that have helped me out. Todd Jackson and IEP Security. This guy sends me messages in my inbox every day. I had a motorcycle stolen from my house. He came up not too long after and put up a whole security system, a camera system out of my house, and was just and he threw it in on top of the sponsorship. He was like, look, dude, I don't want to see that happen to you anymore. So he stays in my inbox sending me motivational quotes and scripture. So Lobos, there's several that I couldn't just go off the top, but just the one that pops out the most, IEP security, Lobos Tire and Wheels, Steve's Paint and Body. There's several. If I missed any, I know I missed it some because there are several new ones just to go around. But I appreciate you guys, all my sponsors.
Gary, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck June 11th at FCF 52 against Demario Dennis.